When did it first appear? November of 2019. When did China get it? December 2019. The first reported. So there's a pretty good amount of connections to make you really question whether it was planned or not. And I think after this, you will understand that it was most likely planned. But this is for informational purposes only. The World Integrated Trade Solution, meaning this is when they export and when they transfer things from different countries yearly. And as you can see, in year 2018, there were medical test kits. Before it was this product number, it was not called medical test kits. You really want to know what it was? It says right here, the data here track previously existing medical devices that are now classified by the World Customs Organization as critical to tackling COVID. Interesting, huh? How about we go right here? This is their document, okay? They're the ones showing you this. World Health Organization, updated 9th of 2020. Okay, that's not... What is this? What is this product code? 382200. What is this product code? 382200. The classification in 2017 was 19 test kits. Look at that. They're telling you straight to your face. That's just one. And this was 2 years before. This is just paper. Stay tuned for the videos. Let's look at this. The World in 2019. The World in 2019. November 22nd, 2018. A whole year before it was even discovered. Let's see what we can decode from this. And just to make sure, the world looks... Let's look at this website. The world looks wobbly according to the World in 2019. This was provided by The Economist, November 26, 2018. So this picture was already up and running to show you the picture. Now let's decode it. Huh. I see 4 things. A panda, the 4 horsemen, the pangolin, and the DNA. Now this is just 4 of every single thing that they pretty much did the following year. So now let's look at the bears, right? The panda. Let's look at the pandas. Pandas are only found in China. Interesting, right? That's 1. Let's look at the 4 horsemen. In Revelation, the first horseman rides a white horse, carries a bow, and is given a crown as a figure of conquest, perhaps invoking pestilence. Pestilence is a fatal epidemic disease, especially bubonic plague. Bubonic. I don't know. I'm not sure if I said that correctly, but the 4th and final horse is pale. Upon it rides Death, accompanied by Hades. They were given authority over a quarter of the earth to kill with sword, famine, and plague, and by means of the beast of the earth. Plague, famine. The pale horse represents death and pestilence. So crown in Latin is corona. The 4th horse is the pale horse, represents death and pestilence. Oh, we're not done yet though. We're not done yet. Let's see the 3rd one. So we have 2 from this. It's Latin, a crown in Latin, and the 4 horsemen, meaning the one that causes death by pestilence. Panda coming from China. Let's look at this 3rd one. You can see that it has a lot to do with the spread of it. Pangolins may have spread to humans. Then they tell you a year later, 2 years later, 2 SARS strains have been isolated from pangolin season. The scientists believe both originated from the same source. Then we look at some of these. This is all done. Yeah, I don't need to read it. Just the title is telling me. February 2020, a year later, pangolin may have spread Okay, February 10, 2020. Now that's already three. The fourth one I'm a bit iffy about, but with the other three, one, two, three, just on this page, and not even counting whatever I did last, or not even counting what I did before, they're pretty much telling you. Number four, your DNA. DNA damage and impaired DNA repair mechanisms 2 years later, thus fostering genome instability. We see this again right here. DNA damage increase in all patients. This is straight up from the government. Well, that's all you pretty much have to know about this second one. Let's move on to the videos, shall we? So all of these should have the date on them, and they're pretty much explaining a surprise thing that's going to come up, pretty much letting your subconscious know and tell you. And this happens on a variety of different news platforms. You would pretty much know that this is not no accident. And by the way, now that you know about the 2019 one, this one was posted before the year started. What has happened so far? And why is there a dove next to what looks like Donald Trump's question mark? Alright, let's get into the videos.
Why don't we blow the system up? I mean, obviously we can't just turn off the spigot on the system we have and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet. But there must be some way that we grow vaccines mostly in eggs, the way we did in 1947.
In order to make the transition from getting out of the tried and true egg growing, which we know gives us results that can be, beneficial. I mean, we've done well with that, to something that has to be much better. You have to prove that this works, and then you've got to go through all of the clinical trials, phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3, and then show that this particular product is going to be good over a period of years. That alone, if it works perfectly, is going to take a decade.
There might be a need or even an urgent call for an entity of excitement out there that's completely disruptive, that's not beholden to bureaucratic strings and processes.
So we really do have a problem of how the world perceives influenza, and it's going to be very difficult to change that unless you do it from within and say, I don't care what your perception is, we're going to address the problem in a disruptive way and in an iterative way, because you do need both.
But it is not too crazy to think that an outbreak of a novel avian virus could occur in China somewhere. We could get the RNA sequence from that, beam it to a number of regional centers, if not local, if not even in your home at some point, and print those vaccines on a patch and self-administer.
Of all the things that are out there, what could cause an excess in a single year of 10 million deaths? Now, clearly a big war could, and a pandemic, natural or created by bioterror. The natural pandemic, the last gigantic one, was 100 years ago. We are healthier today, but the speed of travel, and therefore the speed of global spread, that works against us. But in some ways, the bioterror thing scares me the most. All it takes is one small terrorism group. Those groups have used things like anthrax that are non-human to human transmissible, and as yet, thank goodness, they've never been able to build or get their hands on a nuclear weapon.
Are you nervous about your own life and
No.
what could happen?
This thing will get a lot of countries before it gets to the U.S., but even the U.S. has to think about its global health security. It's a government thing to decide, okay, this is a problem, how do you move resources around, how do you allocate the scarce supplies? When an epidemic hits, governments having been prepared in advance and going through simulations, that will help them make the decisions that are only in their hands.
There will be a surprise outbreak. Given, as you heard from the introduction, that I have been around for a while and have had the opportunity and the privilege and the pleasure of serving in 5 administrations, I thought I would bring that perspective to the topic today, is the issue of pandemic preparedness. And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today, based on my experience, and you'll see that in a moment, is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And I hope by the end of my relatively short presentation, you will understand why history, the history of the last 32 years that I've been the director of NIAID, will tell the next administration that there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with. So for those who think that infectious diseases is gone, there's so many people who've made foolhardy statements not knowing at the time that they made them. I usually show a quote from an old Surgeon General or an old pundit in infectious disease. So I thought I'd pull this one out from Sir Macfarlane Burnet, who was actually a Nobel Prize winning immunologist, who made the statement, as many did, to write about infectious diseases is almost to write of something that has passed into history. The most likely forecast about the future of infectious diseases is that it will be very dull. What is for sure, that no matter what, history has told us definitively that it will happen, because infectious diseases, as I said 8 years ago in this article with David Morins and Greg Folkers, that it is a perpetual challenge. It is not going to go away. So the thing we're extraordinarily confident about is that we are going to see this in the next few years. Thank you.
For the final one, this is from the 2012 Olympics. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Please welcome Mike Oldfield and the staff of the United Kingdom National Health Service and a very special guest this evening, patient staff at Great Ormond Street Hospital.
see some of the great villains of British literature. Literature for children. We're going to see some of the great villains of, well, that would be 101 Dalmatians,